What if your silence said more than 1,000 words? What if your scars weren't flaws, but blueprints of unshakable power? And what if the version of you the world tried to break was actually being built in the fire? Welcome to Stoic Bridge, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, guiding you through life's storms with calm and resilience. There's a different kind of man, one who doesn't chase respect because his presence demands it before he speaks. He doesn't raise his voice or throw his weight around. He doesn't need dramatic entrances or loud declarations. His silence is enough to shift the energy of a room. His stare cuts deeper than any insult could. And when he walks in, the air tightens. The weak feel it before they understand it. That raw, resolute presence of someone who didn't just survive hell, but made it his crucible, and came out forged in fire, not fear. This kind of man isn't born from praise or popularity. He's shaped by solitude, betrayal, and long nights of brutal honesty with himself. And here's the truth: you were meant to be him. But life didn't train you gently. It tore you open without warning. It let people leave without apologies. It taught you the sting of loyalty repaid with lies. You didn't get a blueprint, only battle scars. And somewhere in all that chaos, you buried your voice, dimmed your fire, and tried to shrink yourself just to belong. But that primal fire in you, it never died. It watches. It waits. Not to lash out, but to rise, in control, with clarity, to rebuild the version of you that answers to no one and begs for nothing. What you're about to hear isn't soft inspiration. It's not a pep talk for fragile feelings. This is a direct, unfiltered call to arms, a brutal path to unearth the weapon buried beneath fear, people-pleasing, and false humility. I'm going to walk you through 5 relentless habits. Not to make you comfortable, not to earn applause, but to forge a man who stands unshaken, who doesn't break, doesn't beg, and sure as hell doesn't seek permission. These habits are designed to burn weakness, expose lies, and carve your soul into something razor sharp. Because real power isn't found in how loud you scream. It's in how calm you remain when the whole world wants you broken. As Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Let that sink in. This isn't about pretending to be tough. It's about being unmovable when tested. Not exploding, but executing. Not reacting, but responding. Not chasing approval, but commanding respect by your very existence. So if you've ever been dismissed, betrayed, humiliated, or overlooked, perfect. Because the storm that tried to bury you was building you. And the man who's rising now, he's not here to be liked. He's here to lead, not with titles, but with presence. He's been sharpened by silence, fueled by rejection, and ignited by a fire that never asks for permission. So don't just sit back and watch. Let this video pull you into yourself. Let it tear through everything that's kept you tame. Because this isn't self-help, it's self-destruction of every illusion that's kept you small. And if you're ready to become untouchable, we begin now. Law 1. Learn to enjoy being feared for the right reasons. There's something hauntingly powerful about a man who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word, yet everyone feels the shift in the air. Like thunder without lightning, his presence arrives before he does. No smiles, no pleasantries, just a cold, silent gravity that unsettles the space around him. That's what real power looks like. It doesn't greet people with eager handshakes. It doesn't wear a mask to be liked. True power enters like a quiet storm, brutal, unmoved, and unapologetically still. People sense it before they understand it. Their posture tightens, their fake confidence starts to crack. Because deep down they're confronting something they can't explain. A man who has turned self-respect into a weapon, owned by discipline and fire. And in a world addicted to approval, a man who refuses to beg for understanding becomes the most dangerous force in the room. You've been taught that being liked is the path to safety, that if you gain approval, you'll be free. But let's rip off that illusion. Men who chase approval don't earn freedom. They lose themselves. They become domesticated, leashed, silenced. They trade their roar for a nod, their spine for smiles. They laugh through pain. They nod while being disrespected. And every day, they sand away pieces of their own soul to make others comfortable. Until one day, there's nothing left but a ghost in a perfectly ironed shirt, smiling, breathing, forgotten. But there's another kind of man, a rare breed who has burned his thirst for applause to ash. He doesn't perform. He doesn't seek attention. He shifts the air with silence. His presence isn't a performance. It's a pressure. His eye contact isn't a conversation. It's a boundary. And his boundaries, they aren't polite fences. They're landmines. You don't decode him. You feel him, and by the time you understand what just walked past you, he's already gone, leaving behind nothing but a crater in your understanding. Seneca once wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." But in this era, death doesn't kill men. Judgment does. The fear of being labeled, misunderstood, or unfollowed. So what do most men do? They dilute themselves. They silence their truth. They trade boldness for acceptance and authenticity for applause. And they rot slowly, beautifully, into someone no one remembers. But not you. You're not here to be agreeable. You're not here to kneel in rooms that insult your soul. You're here to be the storm that shifts the atmosphere. A walking ultimatum. Your presence should feel earned. Your voice should carry the weight of a verdict. You owe nothing to a world that weaponizes your kindness. Let them fear the cost of losing your energy. Let them sweat to earn your time. Let them puzzle over your silence and never hand them the key. Because here's the cruel paradox. They only respect what they can't control. They only admire what stands alone. They only obey what refuses to flinch. The moment you stop explaining yourself, stop chasing approval, stop laughing when your soul is quiet, that's the moment you stop being a man in the crowd. You become a myth, a mirror they can't bear to face, a reminder of everything they lack the courage to become. So be feared, not through noise or anger, but through unshakable calm. Not by breaking things, but by never needing anyone to hold you up. And when the world tests your edges, pokes you, questions you, mocks your silence, smile once, then vanish. Let your absence make more noise than any argument ever could. Because when your presence is rare, your mystery becomes sacred. And that's not just power. That's legend. And speaking of power, let's now look at the next habit that separates the unshakable from the uncertain. 2. Never let your emotions speak before you do. Picture this, a volcano that rumbles but never erupts. Its silence is more terrifying than fire. That's the kind of man you must become. Not cold, not empty, just in absolute control of the fire within. They told you to let it out, to cry loudly, to scream into the night, to text your pain at 2 a.m. like it would save you, to vent like it's some sacred ritual to cleanse your soul. And you believed them. But here's the part they left out, whether intentionally or from fear. Every time you explode, every time you let your emotions take the lead without filter or form, you hand over your power like a gift no one asked for. You offer up your edge, your clarity, your grip on the moment, and the world doesn't reward it. It doesn't hold your pain with compassion. It records it, files it away, turns it into ammunition. Your vulnerability becomes their leverage. And suddenly, you're not a man anymore. You're a soft target with no defenses, driven by reaction instead of direction. Think about it. Those moments when your blood boiled, when your fingers hovered over the send button, when your lips were seconds away from speaking words soaked in fury. You thought release would set you free. But what followed? Regret. That sinking, hollow silence that mocked you louder than your rage ever could. The message you shouldn't have sent. The call that bled too much truth. The argument that torched a bridge you might have needed. And for what? That wasn't strength. That was surrender. You were manipulated. Not by them, but by your own untamed emotions. You weren't dangerous, you were noisy. You weren't respected, you were remembered for all the wrong reasons. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations for men who couldn't master themselves. He wrote for warriors of the mind. Those who knew that the battlefield begins within. You have power over your mind, not outside events. That isn't a poetic musing, it's a ruthless command. Because every time you let external chaos govern your internal calm, you become predictable. And predictable men are prey. Real danger doesn't shout. It doesn't flinch. It breathes. It watches. It chooses its moment with surgical precision. So imagine your emotions, rage, sorrow, panic, as wild dogs inside your chest. They bark. They pull at their chains. But you stay still. You let the leash rattle while the world throws stones, waiting for you to break. And when you don't, when you walk through betrayal, disrespect, heartbreak without losing your spine, they stare. Not sure if they should fear you or follow you, because only gods remain unshaken in the storm. Only kings sit on fire and never scream. Let your enemies flail. Let them speak first. Let them wear desperation like cologne. Loud, cheap, forgettable. You carry your emotions like a loaded weapon. Safety on, trigger untouched. Calm hands, cold eyes, a still face that reveals nothing. And when you finally speak, it doesn't land like a whisper. It strikes like a verdict. Final, echoing, unforgettable. So no, you're not here to overshare, to explain, to be decoded. You're here to rule your inner world like it owes you loyalty. To terrify the world not with noise, but with how little it takes to shake you. And once you master that, respect isn't the prize. You become the quiet force no one can stop, the storm they never saw coming. Now that your mind is armored, let's uncover the next habit that shields your energy from those who never deserved it in the first place. Lesson 3. Build your life in the dark. Let results speak for you. Picture a seed buried deep underground. No light, no applause, no eyes watching. Yet beneath the surface, it's transforming, quietly, powerfully, until the moment it breaks through and leaves the world stunned. That's how your life must be built. Not under spotlights, not in loud announcements, but in silence, crafted through discipline, fire, and consistency when no one's watching. You don't need the world to know what you're doing, and if you're wise, you won't even let them guess. Most men, they scream their goals from rooftops. They chase validation with every post, every humble brag, every desperate reach for likes and praise. They don't want to achieve. They want to be seen trying. But a real man, he vanishes. Not out of fear, but out of focus. He fades from noise, not because he's losing, but because he's learning how to win silently. He knows the truth that most will never grasp. Power isn't born under the spotlight. It's forged in the dark. It's built in the hours no one records, in the pain no one applauds, in the grind that doesn't need to be shared. So disappear, not in defeat, but in preparation. Retreat into the shadow of your purpose. Let the world gossip about your silence while you're transforming that silence into strength. While others argue about what they're going to do, you're doing it. While they chase approval, you're chasing mastery. And while they pretend to be something, you're becoming something that cannot be ignored. Then one day you'll step out of the dark, and you won't need to explain a thing. Your results will arrive like thunder. No fanfare, no warning, just impact. You'll be the storm no one saw coming. The man who didn't talk, didn't post, didn't beg, he just became. They say the journey matters most. But the part they never talk about is this part. The hours when no one texts. The nights when it's just you and your breath and the weight of the life you're building. The cold mornings, the burning muscles, the silence after another page read, another rep completed, another promise kept in solitude. No one will see that. And that's the point. They'll assume you gave up, that you faded away, that you weren't strong enough to stay relevant. But while they're laughing, you're laying bricks. Zeno, the man who needed no applause, said it best. Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing. That's your advantage. Every unseen choice, every small decision, every invisible win. They're shaping you into someone unrecognizable. Let them doubt you, let them overlook you, let them sleep on you. Because when you rise, you won't be returning the same. You'll be reborn. And the sound of your transformation will hit them harder than any speech ever could. So stop broadcasting, stop explaining, stop begging for attention like it proves your worth. Let them think you're done. Let them celebrate your silence, because when you rise, they'll hear it in the ground, they'll feel it in their chest, and they'll regret ever assuming your quiet was weakness. Here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to be seen to become unforgettable. Let your work do the talking. Let your silence become sacred, because only those who never needed the world to notice are the ones who end up owning it. And now let's uncover the next ruthless habit, one that protects your energy from being wasted on the wrong people. Shrar 4, destroy neediness, kill approval, master detachment. Neediness is like a scentless poison, sweet at first, invisible to most, but it seeps into your bones until your self-worth starts crumbling from the inside out. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tricks you into thinking you're reaching out when in truth you're reaching down. You start texting with hope, waiting with eyes glued to a screen that never lights up. A modern altar where men sacrifice dignity for dopamine. You scroll through stories, freeze at the sight of her smile, reread her silence like it's your fault. And that's the real punchline, isn't it? Neediness doesn't ask questions, it begs, it kneels. It surrenders its spine, praying for attention dressed up as affection. The moment you crave, the moment you wait, the moment you look too long, you're no longer seen as a man. You become an option, a toy on the shelf. A notification to be checked when boredom creeps in. Every time you wait for a reply that doesn't come, a piece of your identity erodes. You bargain with your self-worth, you soften your voice, you shrink your power, you mold yourself into what they might like, and forget who you truly are in the process. And the most dangerous lie of all, you think that's love. You mistake that leash for connection, but it's not connection, it's self-abandonment in a velvet collar. Painted with emojis, wrapped in maybe next time. Burn that version of you. Tear him out like rot. The one who waited for closure, the one who needed to be chosen to feel complete. You don't need closure, you need a resurrection. You need to bury the man who begged and rise as the man who no longer explains, no longer waits. That's real detachment. It's not bitterness, it's rebirth. It's walking out of your emotional grave, hands stained with your old weakness, and a calm smirk that says, I've returned, but not for you. Centuries ago, Epictetus whispered a truth so sharp it still cuts today. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. And freedom doesn't live in compliments, it lives in indifference. It's found in the moment you delete a number and feel peace, not panic. It's in walking away without glancing back, in unmatching with grace, in caring for yourself so fiercely that their absence becomes weightless. When you master detachment, you don't just become confident, you become untouchable. Now they can't bait you with guilt, they can't reel you back with nostalgia, they knock and the door stays shut. They test your emotions and you don't even blink. They'll say you've changed. Smile, because they're right. You've evolved from prey to presence. This isn't about being heartless. It's about protecting the heart you once gave to the unworthy. You still love deeply, but now your love comes with boundaries carved in stone and a sword behind your back. No more begging, no more explaining, no more checking who saw your story. You are the story now. You are the standard. And those who don't recognize your value, let them go blind staring at your glow. Because you're not just detached, you're dangerous. Now that you've reclaimed your worth, let's move to the next habit, the one that redefines where and to whom your energy truly belongs. 5. Embrace loneliness and turn it into legend. Loneliness isn't a quiet song playing in the background while it rains outside your window. It's not some poetic melancholy dressed in soft piano and tear-stained journal pages. Loneliness is far more brutal than that. It's a blade pressed to your throat in the dark. It's a silent war, a psychological crucifixion that strips away everything soft and sentimental. It doesn't knock politely. It breaks down the door. It pulls you into a room where no one's watching, no one's clapping, and nothing is filtered. There, in that room, you meet the version of yourself no one else ever sees. The one you've drowned under distractions, buried under dopamine, numbed with noise, sex, scrolling, fake laughter, and carefully staged smiles. Loneliness is not weakness. It's a furnace. This is where illusions die. This is where the boy inside you vanishes. And in his place, if you're brave enough to stay, something monstrous begins to form. Not monstrous in cruelty, but in resilience. In solitude, you shed your skin, your ego crumbles, your dreams get mocked by cold, hard reality. And what's left standing? Not something fragile, something nuclear. You enter that darkness as a man, you crawl out as a force the world isn't ready for. Have you ever felt it? That crushing silence at 2 a.m., your phone blank, your inbox empty, your thoughts louder than any music could mask. When the people you swore would never leave become ghosts. And there you are, teeth clenched, fists trembling, not because they hurt you, but because you finally see it. You've been lying to yourself. You pretended you were whole, pretended you didn't need the grind, pretended you could skip the pain and still evolve. But there, in the dead of night, with no one around to save you, you're faced with the truth. And that truth is either your tomb or your transformation. You can run back to the world that broke you, to the fake smiles, shallow friends, and filtered lives, or you can stay in the fire and let it shape you into something terrifying. Forget crowds, forget applause, forget friends who only remember you when they need something. Let them think you cracked. Let them laugh at your silence. Because while they scroll and pose and perform, you grind, you bleed, you build. Your solitude becomes your forge. It melts away weakness, molecule by molecule. It hardens your will like iron. It chisels your mind into something sharper than doubt. And that kind of transformation, it can't be bought. It can't be borrowed. It can't be faked. This isn't ego. Ego needs an audience. But true power, it doesn't seek attention. It stands alone, silent, unshaken, ruthless. And when born in solitude, it answers to no one. That's who you become in the depths of loneliness. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't collapse when ignored. He evolves, he sharpens, he stalks the future with quiet fury. The Stoic Cleanthes once wrote, "Lead me, Zeus, and you, fate. Wherever you have assigned me, I shall follow." Not in surrender, but in acceptance of the fire that transforms. So when life traps you in silence, no comfort, no escape, don't scream, don't beg, smile, because now it's your turn. Now you get to become the man they said you never could. Let the night stretch. Let your muscles ache. Let your heart crack wide open. Let the world forget your name, because you're about to carve it into history. No spotlight, no praise, just you and the beast you're building in the dark. And when you rise, because you won't need to speak. Your presence will thunder, your story will echo, and those who left you behind, they'll watch you shine with fire in your eyes and legacy in your hands. Because when a man masters loneliness, the world becomes his echo. Now that your solitude has shaped your soul, let's turn to the next habit, the one that separates warriors from wanderers. These 5 habits aren't just strategies, they're declarations of war, on weakness, on mediocrity, on the diluted version of you that once settled for less. They are spiritual weapons forged in silence. Psychological blueprints to burn down the man who over-explains, who clings to comfort, who kneels for approval instead of walking with presence. That man, he doesn't get to walk into the future with you. He dies today. No memorial, no final words, just dust. And from those ashes, something far greater rises, not just improved, reforged, untouchable, unshakable, unbothered. A man shaped not by praise, but by pain, crowned in solitude, armored by discipline, clothed in silence so deep it makes others uncomfortable just standing near him. This man doesn't speak to impress, he doesn't perform to be seen. He exists, and the air shifts, because in a world drowning in noise, distraction, and fragile egos, he becomes the rare stillness they can't understand and can never control. While others shatter under pressure, he becomes the pressure. While they scroll endlessly, panic over shadows, and chase validation like oxygen, he builds, in silence, in darkness, in full control. He vanishes not to run, but to return with thunder in his footsteps and a storm behind his eyes. This is not a feel-good speech. This is not comfort food for your soul. This is a reckoning. This is the blueprint for domination, to become the man they whisper about, the one whose absence echoes louder than their presence ever could, the one whose energy doesn't ask permission because it doesn't need to. His boundaries don't need explanation. They're felt, like voltage humming through a quiet room. He doesn't rise to the level of his dreams, he falls to the level of his daily discipline. And that's what makes him lethal. Because these 5 habits, they don't just elevate you, they weaponize you. Let's take a breath and remember what you just unlocked. You learned how to walk into rooms and be felt, not just seen. You discovered the quiet force of emotional control. You built your future in shadows, not in spotlight. You broke the chains of neediness, and finally, you embraced loneliness, not as a curse, but as your crucible, your forge. And now, if any word from this video struck your chest like a blade, if any moment made you pause, clench your jaw, or see your current life for what it truly is, then don't walk away from this unchanged. Hit like as if your future demands it. Share this with the one person who's standing at the edge, ready to snap or rise. Subscribe, because this journey has only just begun. We're not done, not even close. And in the comments, don't just write. Etch your truth, your vow, in digital blood. Not for attention, not for approval. But to mark this moment, let this be the day your story turned. The day you stopped just surviving and started building your legacy. Let them feel your silence like a tremor. Let them watch your rise like prophecy fulfilled. Because you're not just becoming a man, you're becoming a standard, a legend in the making.